Morning, everyone, sorry. Firstly, can I just say a big thank you to all the organisers of the event today. They've done a really fabulous job so far, so I'm excited to see how the rest of the day is going to go out. I'm Juliet Adelstein, the COO of Generate Coin, G8C, a Ganapati Group company. Ganapati PLC is a Japanese iGaming content creator. We have 14 international offices with our gaming licenses in Malta and Curacao. And it is through our fantastic and extensive connections across the whole of the iGaming industry that's led us into the blockchain world. Now, through these connections, a lot is established as to what we feel about how the iGaming world needs to move into blockchain, and it is this evolution that I would like to talk to you all about today. Now, to begin with, I'd like to talk a little bit about the iGaming industry itself, because for those of you who aren't familiar with the industry, it is the sheer scope of it, the sheer numbers, that makes the iGaming industry so interesting for the blockchain world, not just the other way around. The iGaming industry is currently, The iGaming industry is currently a $60 billion global industry. Sales in 2017 exceeded $270 billion. Now, not just this, the iGaming industry is consistently and confidently extending its reach by 10% every single year. Now, it's recent introductions of smartphones and tablets, everyone utilizing these, it's really added to the extensiveness of this growth. But it's also been advancements in technology, but also regulation across the industry that's been so important. To just put it into perspective, 11% of current internet action comes through iGaming players. This is a ridiculous concept. So, to put it simply, the industry is massive. Now, whilst I said that advancements in technology have been what's added to this growth in the industry, their advancements haven't been involving the latest technologies, such as blockchain. Now, there's a couple of factors to consider why this may be happening. Firstly, it might just be a case of why fix what isn't broken, or it could be a reflection of a much bigger problem in the iGaming industry, and that is the sense of sort of refusal to be the first to push the boundaries, to challenge the status quo, which is a big issue within the iGaming industry. Things really haven't changed from how they were run, how they were functioning 30, 40 years ago. Now, at Ganapati and G8C, pushing the boundaries and challenging the status quo is exactly what we're about. And we plan on doing that in every way we can, and in particular, through blockchain. So, it is through the opportunities that blockchain are providing us that we plan on challenging these current situations. Now, let me tell you a little bit about how we managed to come into the blockchain world, as that explains just why it's so interesting to the iGaming industry. For us at Ganapati and G8C, looking into our users is extremely important to us. But more important than that, it's looking into our users that we've yet to reach. Now, we cover both Asian and European markets, and in this industry, they're very, very different culturally. Let me give you an example. For example, in Asia, the players just want their results instantly. They don't really care how this was come about, as long as the credits in their winnings is going up. European players, on the other hand, they like to feel like they had sort of a sense of control about how they got there. They like to know about the journey, the steps that were taken to get there, and in the end feel like maybe they made a difference to why they got there. Now, of course, I'm generalizing wildly, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how different this can be. So, we make one product, but for both these industries and cultures. So, where we find differences, we also need to find similarities. And one similarity that very much affects both the European, Asian, and players all across the world for that matter, is the issue of trust. Now, if we had a whole room here of iGaming executives, I can guarantee you that within 10 minutes, they'd have you all convinced that the whole of the iGaming industry is entirely trustworthy, that there's so many regulations and policies and checks in place that there's absolutely no way for any scamming to go on. And you know what? There actually wouldn't be any sense of exaggeration in what they're saying. Everything they would be saying would be complete fact. But if the players themselves don't believe this, if the players themselves don't have trust in the operators and platforms, what good is this regulation? All we've managed to do is pat each other on the back at night and go to bed thinking, oh yes, we were very fair and regulated once again. Now, this is a problem that needs a solution. So, what solves trust? Yes, transparency. And what provides transparency? You guessed it, blockchain. So, this was how we were led into blockchain. Now, thanks to fabulous connections in Malta already, due to us having our licenses there and also having offices there, we sort of leapt into this world of blockchain firsthand. And with support from the government there and the Prime Minister in particular, G8C went tumbling into the world of blockchain in a much faster and speedy direction than when first intended. And what we discovered was that blockchain isn't simply a solution to provide transparency to our players so they know that they're not being scammed. It was just the beginning of a whole new world of opportunity. Now, just to briefly cover some of the advantages that we're only still discovering blockchain can provide in iGaming for the players, I'd like to run through these. Firstly, by using blockchain, they are able to use instant deposits and withdrawals. This allows the player to feel like they're in control of their experience. They can deposit the token instantly, withdraw the funds that they want to take back instantly, and the entire time, this control is in their hands. Further, by not having to rely on third-party payment solutions, the players have very considerably low transaction fees. In fact, in many cases, zero gas transaction fees. Now, when you're talking about an industry where every cent counts to these players, no matter how big or small this difference is, it's huge in the grand scheme of things. And finally, returning back to the transparency that I brought up earlier, blockchain allows these players to confidently know that they're not being scammed, that they had just as much chance of winning or losing as the player next to them than anyone else did. And all of a sudden, you've created an iGaming platform that's giving the control back to the player. They feel like they're in control of what's happening and that they're not being taken advantage of around every corner. This is extremely important to them. Now, whilst the advantages to the players were where we began and what started to emerge at first, the advantages to the operators as well are considerable. Firstly, just imagine all of a sudden an iGaming operator that has its platform on a blockchain. All of a sudden, in a sea of indistinguishable clones, this blockchain platform would provide the operator with something different. They would have a creative, unique blockchain platform that would be the only one standing out from the crowd. Now, on top of this, of course, transparency is fantastic for the players, but it also provides fantastic opportunities for the operators. Not only is scamming an issue for the players, but operators themselves have a lot of problems with underground hacking and scamming. This, to control, requires a huge amount of resources in both people and financially. All of a sudden, put this on a blockchain platform and you have a huge solution. Because, as you all know, one of the beauties of blockchain is that everyone sees everything. And in that sense, everyone can become the security. So, these operators themselves aren't having to rely on being the security themselves because all the players on the platform are doing it for them. Now, another factor is the easy administration and monitoring that a decentralized management system on a blockchain platform would provide. Lower admin times means lower admin costs, which means considerable overall profits. These profits can then be shared with the shareholders or the players themselves, or wherever it is that the operators wish to share. And finally, and I could personally speak for 15 minutes on this subject alone, the anti-money laundering policing capabilities that blockchain platforms could provide the iGaming world, and this is a huge issue within the industry, are absolutely phenomenal. But that conversation's for another day. Now, one thing that I do want to clarify is what the iGaming world doesn't need is simply another ICO where these companies that are already huge are just collecting funds from pre-established connections, throwing them on an exchange simply in order to artificially inflate their value. I think we've all had enough of that to last us a lifetime. What the iGaming world needs is regulated virtual financial assets that are actually bringing something to improve the entire industry. And that's what G8C and our anti-ICO are here to do. Not only do we want to change our product with blockchain and virtual financial assets, we want to change the entire industry in iGaming because there's a long, long way for us to go. Now, what's been very important to us from the very beginning is regulation. Well, I'm lucky enough for both my two co-CEOs to be lawyers, one from Malta and one from Japan. And as a publicly listed company, we're more than aware of how closely we're always being watched. Thanks to this, that has meant that from the very start, through the regulations in Malta, we've taken every step we can to be regulated properly along the way. Now, what this has meant is that from the very beginning, we've managed to establish trust between all our potential investors and also the platforms, operators, aggregators, and players alike in the iGaming world. Now, when we decided to make this blockchain platform, something that was extremely important to us was that we weren't just making a simple other token, that we were creating something with true value. Something that when our blockchain platform was up and running, the online casino users could use this token to actually create a movement in their game, that they could use this iGaming token to directly bet on our iGaming platform with. Now, what this has also meant is that through different systems and procedures, we've managed to create a brand new form of a stablecoin. A stablecoin that's not pegged to a fiat or a cryptocurrency, but a stablecoin that is pegged to our future players and their bets. Now, what does this mean? It means that one G8C will always equal one minimum bet. Now, whilst the denomination that this will be set to hasn't been finalized, basically if you look at current industry trends, imagine that's about one US dollar cent. One G8C will always equal one minimum bet. Now, why are we able to say that we can peg our currency to something other than a fiat? It's because we know the 6,000 operators and platforms we're connected to, and we know the millions of players that are on these platforms that will be using our token in 2 years' time. What does that mean? It means that we know that there will be constant flow, that there will be constant movement of the G8C happening in this constant stabilized one minimum bet price, which has allowed us to peg it to this value. Now, what this means is we won't be launched simply on a public exchange for the value to increase or decrease. It will always be managed by our private exchange through the wallets that we're also creating. Now, this is something that truly doesn't exist in the iGaming world right now, and the reason it was so important for us was that we need to create something that casino players, operators, platforms and aggregators would all be able to trust. And the only way we could do that was by stabilizing the value and making it something that everyone could equally use constantly at the same time. Now, that's more than enough on G8C and what it is that we do, because to be honest, from the people I've already met today and over the past couple of months talking to people through blockchain, is that the more that we work together, the more that we push each other up, and the more that we share ideas, the more this entire industry is going to grow. And that's exactly what I think everybody needs. So I'd love to have the opportunity to speak to as many of you as I could today. So please find us out there, G8C, with my international team, and I'd love to see how we can take it from there. Thank you, everyone.